Hello everybody and welcome to this new episode of our Sartorial Talks. Today we're going to continue our journey inside my personal wardrobe. We've been reviewing so far 13 suits, from my first grey suit to my tuxedo suit, my bespoke dinner suit made by Ciardi in 2015. And today we're going to study another 7 pieces of suit from number 14 to number 20. So as you know, we've been living in Italy with, literally living in Italy in residence, in Milan, in Naples, and everywhere in Italy with Sonia and my photographer, Roblin, for my book, The Italian Gentleman, that many of you may know. And if you don't know it, you can look on Amazon or everywhere, on every good bookshop, as we say in France. Anyway, we were in Italy and we spent more than 2 years, almost 3 actually, in Italy. And so I had the impulsion to give the Neapolitan tailoring and the Milanese tailoring and the Italian tailoring a chance and to give it a try. So, because as you know, since the beginning of my wardrobe, I've been totally faithful to the Parisian tailoring with Ciardi. And so for this suit number 14, I decided to give a try to this famous Neapolitan tailoring. This is the first Neapolitan suit of my life, and I decided to do it with Luigi Dalcuore in Naples. And for this first suit, I decided to go for, once again, a double-breasted suit. I wanted to try the Neapolitan feeling, let's say this extremely light, all unlined. This is another experience because my double-breasted with Ciardi are kind of armory, very structured on the shoulder, with a lot of padding, very charismatic silhouette. And so I wanted to try the Neapolitan tailoring, which is much more, it's a slopey shoulder, all natural, no padding. And with Luigi Dalcuore, we decided to do a double-breasted that I never did before. It's 4-on-1, that is to say only 4 buttons, but with 1 active, as you can see on the pictures. And for that, I decided to go for a very daring fabric with striped fabric, but of 3 different colors. And it may be the biggest lapels I've did ever. These lapels were massive and I would say even a little bit exaggerated. I still wear from time to time this suit, but you know, in a sartorial path, sometimes you go as far as you can with your obsession. I was obsessed with massive lapels, and I think I reached my limit with this suit, which is, by the way, beautiful, and I like to wear with my Norman Villalta Deacon Chelsea boot, because I think this is a good stylistic statement that goes very well together. So, suit number 14, double-breasted 4-on-1 by Dalcuore, my first Neapolitan suit, bespoke. So, for my suit number 15th, and that's the only time so far I've been doing this, I decided to go to Spain. Why? Because in Spain there's a new generation of tailors which is arising and which is quite interesting, actually. Very motivated young guy who wants to become master tailors, and among them there's one I really like. So we will say in English Joaquim Fernandez Prats, but I know that he in Spain is pronouncing, it's difficult for me, Joaquim Fernandez Prats. So I hope we will write his name on the screen so that you can memorize it. Joaquim Fernandez Prats is a young tailor. I mean, he used to be young. We always say he's young, but we know him since 5 years, so he's 5 years older than he was. But he's still a very young among, you know, the tailors specifically in Italy have a tendency to be extremely old, in their 70s or even 80s. So Joachim is probably in his 40s, and he's a very, very hardworking guy. And so I did with him a blazer using a very interesting a bunch by Drappers called Salt and Pepper, which is a mix between wool and silk. It's a very comfortable blazer that was made for me with kind of silver plated buttons by Joaquim Fernandez Prats in Madrid. And I was very happy with the experience. And this is a blazer. You know, a blazer is something that everybody should have. And so the first real blazer, blue blazer with silver button, you can have them also in gold plate button, has been made for me by this very talented young tailor in Madrid, Spain, Joaquim Fernandez Prats. So you should take a look at his work because, of course, the prices are not the same as in Paris or in Italy. And this young generation of tailors from Spain, they deserve to be tried on or to be considered if you are a sartorial aficionado or even more a sartorialist from Spain. Let's move now to suit number 16. When you reach this kind of number of suits in your wardrobe, I think you are granted the right to make some experiments and some experimentations. I've been letting my passion for double-breasted express itself many times. I had now summer suits. I had tuxedo. So I had some kind of all the basic items were more or less covered, 2 sport jackets. So now I was in a position where I was able to make some experimentation and try things that I always have dreamed to try. And so with suit number 16 that I did once again with Gigi Dalcuore in Napoli, I wanted to try what it is to have a super, super high number for a fabric. And for this suit, which is a very beautiful suit that actually I got married with. I married Sonia with this very suit. I went for a Super 210. Can you believe that? Super 210 fabric by Piacenza. This is my first super high number. I think my highest before was Super 170, which is extremely, extremely high already. I don't want to go back into the subject of microns and what this super number means because we did a special episode on that on Sartorial. So you just have to go to the YouTube channel and you will find a special episode that explains what it is in terms of thread count and the thinness of this fabric. But nevertheless, I wanted to give it a try and I was not sure of myself because Super 210 is an extremely delicate fabric that you don't wear like your go-to suit. If you wear it like your go-to suit, it will not survive long. But if you wear it sparingly, like in great occasions, on an occasion that you want to really look good, it's a very, very nice thing to have. First of all, it's extremely light on the skin, almost like a second skin jacket. But moreover, I think that the patina, this kind of fabric is acquiring as the time is passing, is quite interesting. I was among the first to say, well, be careful. I think the luxury above 160, it's a little bit, too much. But at the same time, I still believe in that. But I wanted to try a super number above 200, and I must admit, it's a beautiful experiment. Not that I will redo it again, because I think one is sufficient, but it's something that I was happy, and it's a beautiful suit, a 3-roll 2, single-breasted by Luigi Dalcuore in Napoli. That's suit number 16. For suit number 17, I wanted to make another experimentation, because honestly, if you put one foot in Naples and you are a bespoke passionate aficionado, it's a difficult city for you, my friends, because there's a lot of very good tailors, eminently sympathetic people, fantastic, with a lot of hospitality and a real passion for men's style. This is probably the town where, with Sonia, we saw the greatest number of well-dressed men in the world. And this is surely the town where you see the greatest number of people wearing a suit in the street. Why? Because it's part of their culture. It's part of their way of living. Neapolitan, they like to dress up. And paradoxically and oddly enough, the men dress more than the women in Naples. And it's a curiosity. If you have the luck to go to this beautiful city, that can be kind of a tricky city if you don't know the good person. But if you have a few their relationship, or if you need some guidance, you can write to us in the comment section. We can even give you a few addresses and a few people to contact. But this is a fascinating city, specifically for the people who are interested in anything related to menswear and men's elegance. And so I went to visit, after Dalcuore, another institution of the Napolitan tailoring, which is the Ciardi brothers. And these people did for me a very interesting sport jacket, which is, once again, you know, I'm a little bit obsessed, a double-breasted jacket, but I wanted to try the Napolitan take on the winter wool. Because when you think about Naples, normally you think about summer, you think about very light fabrics, and I wanted to try a more heavy wool, a draper's wool, a really winter wool with a chevron pattern, and to see how this will be executed by a Napolitan tailor. And the result is absolutely gorgeous. But the thing is that when you put on this jacket, even if it's a winter jacket, you really typically have the impression of having no jacket on you because it's so light. I did this, and I'm very happy to have done this jacket in 2016, very shortly before that Renato Ciardi, who was the patriarch of this house, passed away. And this is quite emotional for Sonia and us because we were not close friends. We met him probably 3 or 4 times. He was a very delicious man, an incredibly smiling guy. And I think he died, he was in his 80s. And we miss him because he was a figure of the Napolitan tailoring. But more than Napolitan tailoring, he was a figure of the Napolitan way of life, joy of life, and a great guy. So I'm happy that I managed to do this jacket with him when he was still alive. But of course, Ciardi continues because his son Enzo and Roberto are very well into the business since a long time. So that was piece of my wardrobe number 17. Now we move to 18. I didn't want to go crazy and, you know, to do some kind of fancy stuff that I will wear 1 or 2 times. No, I wanted to remain on track. And I say, if I do a suit, I want a suit that I will wear. And I had another dream that I never fulfilled. I never had the opportunity to fulfill. So now we are entering the world of the very specific type of garments that are known probably only by the connoisseurs, but that acts like, I would say, a password. If you see somebody wearing the suit I'm going to describe now, you know that this guy knows his stuff about sartorialism and about menswear. I want to speak about a Solaro suit. So, I did my first Solaro with Gennaro Formosa in Napoli. So for the people who don't know what a Solaro suit is a very odd suit, to be honest. The original Solaro, it's a fabric that I think it's still, I don't know if there's a copyright or a patent, but the original one is from the company Smith & Woolens in England. And it was invented back in the years, so it's this kind of a brown and orange suit which change colors under the sun. So technically, a Solaro is a fabric with an open weave and on which a band of orange color has been inserted in order normally to reflect the UV rays of the sun and to protect you from them. Well, it's a beautiful thing, and since a decade there's been a craving among the sartorial community for owning a Solaro. And once again, it was more for the fact that if you wear a Solaro, and specifically this classic Solaro, which is kind of brownish with this very specific orange insert inside the fabric, you will look as the guy who knows his menswear and his men's style. But I decided to do a Solaro with a little bit of a twist, because I was not very attracted to the classic one, but I was extremely attracted to the new colors now. And now you make Solaro in different colors. And now I choose with Gennaro Formosa a Solaro in green. That is to say, a green base with always this kind of orange reflection under the sun. And I'm quite happy with this suit, which is, as you can see, the lapels are quite generous because I am still a lover of generous lapels. But it's something that I must say something about the Solaro. It is sold mainly as a summer suit, and in my opinion, it is not a summer suit. It's a little bit too heavy for that, but it's the perfect spring suit and it's the perfect autumn suit. But what I want you to understand is that we had a discussion with a gentleman who is wearing a lot SOLARO suit. I want to speak about our friend Mariano Rubinacci from the very famous eponymous tailoring house, Rubinacci in Naples. I remember Mariano Rubinacci explaining to Sonia and me that SOLARO is kind of sold or oversold as a summer suit or the quintessential summer suit, but in fact, it is a little bit too thick to be strictly a summer suit, and it's better when it's worn between, let's say, end of April and end of June and let's say September up to the middle of October. So it's more a spring, autumn, mid-season suit than strictly a summer suit. But it's a beautiful suit. Once again, it's a very specific piece. Very few people will understand what you are wearing because it's kind of odd, but it's a beautiful piece of tailoring. And every gentleman who is really pushing its wardrobe to the next level should have a SOLARO suit. For suit number 19, well, you know, my name is Hugo Jacomet, and I can't get rid of my passion for double-breasted. You just notice I went a little bit, you know, off track with this Super 210 with Dalcuore single-breasted, with this SOLARO suit single-breasted, but I couldn't restrain myself. It was impossible for me not to do another double-breasted and maybe another one after. For suit number 19, I decided to go for another summer suit. And in this particular choice was probably motivated by the fact that we were living in Naples for my book, and that it's quite hot in Naples, except 1 or 2 months. I would say February can be very cold and March a little bit, but from April to, let's say, probably November, this is a very, very nice climate. And so when you are in Naples, you have a tendency of going to make some more light suits because that's the local style. And we discovered this very small Sartoria, which is called Sartoria Manna, M-A-N-N-A, which is located in the center of Naples. And they did for me a beautiful, gorgeous summer suit with a very special fabric, which is a Super 150 silk and wool by the House of Cacciopoli. Cacciopoli is an institution in Naples. It's a place where it's a shop where you can buy cut length of fabric. And this is probably one of the only shops in the world where if you ask to buy 10 centimeters of a fabric, they will cut for you 10 centimeters. I don't know what you will do with 10 centimeters of fabric. Maybe show it to your wife and say, maybe it will be my next suit. But meaning that you can find an extensive choice, an incredible choice of fabric. And every morning, it's a nice thing to see. Every morning, tailors are coming to the Cacciopoli shop, and all the team at Cacciopoli are cutting for the work of the day of the tailors or the new order they have, cutting some cut lengths of fabric. So the choice is absolutely tremendous. And now Cacciopoli, it's a family, are doing some special editions, and of course, they don't weave themselves, they're just merchant, but they design and they choose the things that are exclusively made for them. And this Super 150 in wool and silk is a Cacciopoli beautiful fabric. And Manna executed with this a suit which is my first suit as a double-breasted, who can be worn 6-on-2, but also 6-on-1. That's very Napolitan. You can wear it normal 6-on-2, and if you want to look a little bit less formal, a little bit more casual, you can unbutton the first one and just button the last one. And you will just show your buttonhole inside the roll. That's so Napolitan. So this is the Napolitan, you can grab the Napolitan soul here, the Napolitan spirit. They always give their own twist to everything. You want a 6-on-2 or a 6-on-1, but in Naples you can have a 6-on-2 that become a 6-on-1. They can't do both, because here it's all about freedom. It's all about freedom of movement. It's all about freedom even of speech. It's all about freedom and enjoying life. So this is my suit number 19, a beautiful, strictly summer suit by Manna in Naples. And for my 20th piece of garment, I met somebody that is close to our heart because he's such a sweet man. Maybe one of the most passionate and engaged tailor we ever met in our life. I want to speak of our friend from Naples, Pino Peluso. And so with Pino, I wanted to try something different. So we considered together, what can we do together? Because I have so many bespoke double-breasted. When I say so many, I'm not arrogant. I'm speaking about 19, so not that crazy over the span of, at this moment of the time, it was over the span of more than 10 years already. So it was not that crazy, but still, when you have this kind of wardrobe, you try not to repeat yourself and find something new to do. So we decided with him, and believe me, it's not a gift for a tailor, to do a velvet jacket, a blue velvet jacket that I will show you. And this velvet jacket is a magnificent piece of tailoring. The only thing is that velvet is a very, very difficult material to work with. If you are interested in really how a suit is made by hand and how a bespoke suit is executed inside an atelier, you know that the ironing and the steam are very important, and most of the time the shape of the suit is obtained by the work of the tailor with very, very heavy irons and with a lot of steam that they can really work on the shape of the roll and everything. So steaming and ironing is extremely important, except there's one fabric you can't use steam with, and it is velvet. So you understand how difficult it is to craft a velvet garment, and specifically a velvet jacket, because everything has to be perfect at the cut, at the moment where the fabric is cut. And you understand that if you cut wool, you can still give it a shape and work with the iron and the steam, not with velvet. So it's an extremely difficult piece to complete, and I must say that Pino Peluso did a wonderful job. I must add that I know that now Pino Peluso is working with Marolles, which is the shirt maker in Bologna, and he's traveling a lot with Marolles, and he's working hand in hand with Marolles to go abroad in Canada, in the United States, even in London, and then you can access through Marolles now his work. And this is a name that we really support because not only is a fantastic tailor, but on top of that, he's a great guy. So this jacket number 20 ends the third part of our sartorial journey inside my personal wardrobe. I hope it has been so far inspiring for you, or at least useful, and I'm happy if it has been. I give you an appointment now for the fourth and last part of this journey in my personal wardrobe, where we will review suit number 21 to suit number 27. Cheers.